have the opportunity now to talk with Trip Demuth. If that name is familiar to you, it's because he investigated the Jonbenet Ramsey case in Boulder County. Trip, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us. Just refresh our memory, when was the Jonbenet Ramsey case? And it did go on for a while, but when was the death of Jonbenet Ramsey?
That was December 26, 1996.
So what goes through your mind when you hear about a child disappearing, the search for her, the discovery of her body, which then was found to be not intact, and now the arrest of a juvenile suspect?
Well, the first thing that goes through my mind is, just the fact that I'm pleased that they've been able to develop a suspect and they've been able to develop evidence to the point where they think they can prosecute him. I think it's significant to not just develop a suspect, but when you arrest somebody, you are indicating that you believe you have enough evidence at that point to prosecute them.
Yeah, and it certainly to the community, Trip, this seemed like it took painfully long, but in terms of an investigation, this arrest came relatively quickly, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in fact, that's my first reaction, is that this is pretty quick. Pretty quick from the standpoint of developing a suspect, but also really quick in terms of putting the evidence together that quickly.
So what do you foresee happening now, Trip? What should we watch for as lay people who've been drawn in, captivated by the beautiful face of this little girl and the horrible circumstances of her death, and now the arrest of a shockingly young suspect? What should we be watching for?
Well, first you're going to have a bond hearing within the next couple of days. That's the first thing that we're going to see. And then you're going to have a preliminary hearing within 30 days thereafter, and filing of charges within the next week or two. But it's important to note that the investigation is not going to stop at this point. They may have sufficient evidence at this particular point to think that they can prosecute this individual, but their investigation will continue to go forward, and they will continue to compile and compare their evidence and run scientific tests on whatever evidence they do have.
What are your thoughts in terms of this decision about, we'll get to that stage, trying as a juvenile or an adult?
I think, they're going to probably be making that decision pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. I'm not that familiar with the information about the suspect, but given the nature of the crime, I think it highly likely that they will probably try to proceed against this individual as an adult.
Trip, I remember being shocked when police announced a connection between the assault on the jogger in May and the Jessica Ridgeway case here in October. What did you think when you heard of that connection?
What that told me is that it's highly likely that they have some form of physical evidence that ties the two together. It's not unusual to try to draw comparisons and immediately think that there might be a connection, but to come out and announce that there is a connection indicates to me that they've got some physical evidence beyond just the nature of the crime itself that binds these two crimes together.
Yeah, it ties the whole situation, beyond just the proximity of all these different occurrences. But
beyond the proximity and beyond the nature of the crime, they've got something more. That's what it tells me.
Yeah.
Do you think the physical evidence comes down to that cross that we've been seeing, or do you think it's something else?
I think it's something else. I think it may have been the substance that was used to try to abduct the jogger. There might have been evidence of that at both scenes, or it could have even been DNA. Now that we have the ability to collect DNA samples where people grab you and touch you, you can do DNA testing, and that can create a correlation between the two crimes.
Yeah, it can be so many different things. That's why those tips from the public on any case are so helpful.
And the other thing that I'm going to be watching for is, now that they do have a suspect, it's going to be interesting to me to see what the outcome is of the witness identification. We do have one person who's still alive, and it will be interesting to see whether or not she can identify the suspect as her attacker.
You're talking about the jogger at the lake.
Yes, the jogger.
Yeah. We've been showing pictures, Trip, of the scene, the home where the suspect lived, with trucks backed up down the driveway and a shelter and some screening to block us, to keep us from seeing what they're doing there. Mm-hmm. What do you make of that activity?
Well, clearly, they are wanting to collect whatever physical evidence might connect him now to both cases. And what's interesting is they might have it's conceivable that they will have stronger evidence tying him to the jogger. But then using the jogger case, if there's a similarity or physical evidence that ties the jogger case to Jessica's case, you could almost bootstrap both cases together in a single prosecution.
And we have a shot right now of that tow truck that took away a vehicle from the suspect's home. That could be a treasure trove of evidence.
Absolutely. There is going to be all sorts of hair fiber, even conceivably serology type evidence that is in that car.
All right, Trip Demuth, thank you so much for shedding some light on the situation. We appreciate your time today.
No problem.
Thank you,
sir.
Trip.
Thank you.